All right, team, it looks like we're live. If you are joining me, here we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'll just tag us in the group here so you can all see we're live. If you are joining in to watch, please give us a like or a love. And if you are joining in the after party, please just write hashtag after party. Hi, Janet. Good to see you. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen, the Plant Power Coach, and welcome to today's Transform with Plants Live podcast inside Plant-Based Health and Weight Loss Support Facebook group. Today's topic, we're talking about how your weight may be protecting you. And that may sound really weird. I understand. You might be saying, well, we know that holding extra weight can be inflammatory to our body, can put the, pressure on things like joints and organ systems, and can affect our mental health, can increase our risk for chronic diseases. So what are you talking about when you say it might be protecting you? Well, I'm not talking about protecting you from a health sense necessarily. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about something deeper than, our physical body. But hear me out, right? So let's get into it. Have you ever found yourself saying things like, I just can't get my shit together. I'm so inconsistent. I stop and I start and I just can't get myself to do the things that I know that are going to help me get to this result that I want. It's going to help me lose the weight. Or maybe you might be saying to yourself, I lose the weight and then I regain it all back again. I don't know why I keep doing this. I keep on this roundabout. I know how to lose the weight, but I don't know how to keep it off. And maybe there's a part of you that is getting frustrated with where you are, frustrated with this pattern. And maybe you're starting to tell yourself that you are never going to figure this out. Well, if this is you, and you are hearing what I'm saying, I want you to tell me in the comments, all right? And I want you to know that you are not alone. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Margaret. Thanks for joining me. Janet, I know that this is something that you have struggled with too, okay? So let me know in the comments if you have struggled with either of these patterns, just not being able to stick to what you know, or you're losing the weight and you're regaining it all again for some reason. And if this is you, I want you to release any judgment or shame that you might have around this. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. What might look like you not being able to be consistent, or weakness, or resistance, or not being able to get your shit together, however you like to describe it to you, can actually be something entirely else differently. This is what I work with a lot with my clients inside of my Transform with Plants coaching program. This is a form of self-protection. All right? Everything that we do, every single action that we take or don't take, there is a positive intention behind it based on safety and survival. Staying away from pain, pain at all costs, conserving energy, and seeking pleasure. These are our three motivational drives that drive every single action that we take. So even if you can't get yourself to do what you know to do, if you can't stay consistent with what you know to do, if you find yourself constantly eating food when you know that you're not even hungry, if you're losing weight and then putting it all back on again, right? It all has a positive intention. So I really want you to drop any shame or judgment, criticism that you have for yourself around any of these behaviors. It's not necessary. And we want to understand what is going on at a deeper level so that we know what we're really dealing with. And we're going to go deeper with this today, because if you have struggled with food, if you have struggled with trying to lose weight, if you've struggled with being inconsistent, if you've struggled with starting and stopping and these cycles of losing and regaining, then this all has a positive intention. And this session today is going to shift the way that you see yourself and your behavior. So let me know in the comments. Self-sabotage, but I had no idea why. Yeah, this will probably highlight something to you. And it's going to mirror some of those conversations we were having when you were working with me, Janet. So imagine this, right? You are a living person, a living, breathing human being. You are moving through the world. You are walking through life. And you've been doing it for decades, right? Most of you who are following me, you're at least in your 40s and beyond. You've been walking through life every single day of your life from your childhood up until this moment. And through your life, at some point in your life, you have been scared, you have been hurt, you have experienced negative emotion. You have been in danger. And you've been hurt in ways that have affected you, that you still think about today, and they still make you feel a bit tight and a bit tense. These may be other people's words, maybe from people saying certain things to you, not being nice to you, bullying you. Maybe it's from rejection, from maybe childhood friends, parents, even moments when we felt like our parents were rejecting us, abandoning us. Or maybe it just felt like someone was rejecting you for who you were, a relationship breakup, whatever that might be, a job where you were fired or made redundant. Maybe you've been hurt by disappointment, things not turning out the way you had hoped. All of these things, moving through life and being hurt along the way, can leave us, like it leaves like scars on our nervous system. It's not just our brain remembering this stuff, it's our body remembering this stuff, especially if we haven't had the tools to be able to process our emotions through in a healthy way. And pain gets buried into our nervous system, into our body. And maybe there's, some genuine fear or worry or some other big negative emotion that comes up whenever you go back and you remember these situations. And even if it's not in your brain necessarily, even if, cognitively you've processed these things that happened to you in the past, as I said, sometimes it stays in our nervous system. And so what do we do to cope with that? Oh, we carry around this armor, these tools that we have to try and protect ourselves. We put on this cloak of armor, this big, heavy cloak, a clunky sort of protective armor. Imagine that's what the weight has become on your body. And imagine that the food that you are eating has become like your sword and your shield. It's the thing that you're using to help you feel safe in this world where you can get hurt, where you can be in danger. And while this armor that we have that keeps us safe, it's blocking the arrows, it's dulling the pain, right? It's helping us feel safer in this world. It also keeps hurtful people and situations at bay as much as possible. But it doesn't just protect us from danger, it also stops us from running free. And it's slowing us down, and it's keeping people at a distance, keeping the dangerous people away, right? That's what extra weight can feel like. So it's not a failure. It's a way that we're protecting ourselves. And you might have felt that at some point, like the thing that saves you from all the danger might be the food. It might feel like the weight is a shield to hide behind so nobody sees you. The food when you're feeling hurt or uncomfortable or unsafe in this world, food can be the one thing that's always there, especially if other people hurt. If you feel in danger of being hurt by other people, food is never going to hurt you, like in the way that it's always going to be a comfort. Like, it's never going to argue back with you. It's never going to reject you. It's never going to belittle you. It doesn't argue, doesn't emotionally hurt you. It's comforting when your emotions feel too big and you don't know how to handle them. It's like that friend when life is hard and stressful and busy and it all just feels too much. It's the thing that helps you go from to right? It's a very, very easy and quick form of pleasure when everything else feels really hard or heavy, when there's stuff going on in our world that we can't control and we're struggling to cope with it all. We're struggling, like we're really fearful of an outcome about something. So that food or those calories, those dense calories, they make us feel like, oh, I can cope again. And on some level, that weight that comes with those extra calories, that feels safer than being exposed to all the danger out there. Because, let's be honest, being seen can be terrifying. Being seen means possibly being, risking rejection from people in our lives, especially if you've faced rejection in the past. I had a client who was afraid that she was going to be rejected by people if she lost her armor, her physical armor. For her, the physical armor was like part of her identity, part of her personality. It was kind of like the thing that gave her strength, if you know what I mean. She felt strong with this armor on. She felt like if she lost that armor, she wasn't going to have as much strength. There might be a case of, people might expect more of you if you don't have the armor on, like if you're able to do more in life. And if you're already feeling like up to your eyeballs with stress and busyness and things that you've got to cope with, then people expecting more from you may just trigger that feeling of being unsafe. And it's like, no, just like leave me alone, like let me be. I've got enough to cope with in this world. Being seen also means that you could fail publicly, face ridicule, face cancel culture. I also am a coach for my business coaches team, and I have spoken to I'm also a one-on-one coach for some of her clients, and I've spoken to a few of them who are terrified of being seen, like of really being seen publicly, facing cancel culture in this day and age when you watch Instagram and it's all just health coaches bashing other health coaches, doctors bashing other doctors, PTs bashing other PTs. It's like it doesn't stop. Everyone's got an opinion on everyone these days, and in those cases hiding feels so much safer. Being seen might also mean that you attract the wrong sorts of eyeballs, unwanted attention, unwanted people, whether that is, just people making comment about what you're eating. That's one of the most basic things that stops people from making the changes that they want to change, that they want to make. When I was thinking about going vegan, I'd stopped me making that step for myself because I was too worried about other people's opinions about me going vegan. I was worried about the vegan bashing. That can stop us from making the change that we want to make. One of my clients has also, in the past, she recognized she was fearful of attracting the wrong types of people in business, like superficial types who she didn't want to be, hanging around. And she noticed that happened every time she lost a lot of weight. Another client of mine, and this has come up for a few people actually, fearful of being physically hurt by men if they're at a healthy weight, physical of the wrong attention, being hurt either emotionally or physically if they get to their healthy weight. So we worry that we're going to attract people who are who don't have good intentions towards us. Another of my clients from the past, her fear when it came to losing the weight was not that she would attract the wrong eyeballs, but that her husband would want to get closer. And when she had the weight on, he wasn't really interested, right? But she realized that she had fallen out of love with him and she didn't want him closer anyway. And the funny thing is that as soon as she said this, I felt my whole nervous system just respond to that as well, which told me a truth that I wasn't even cognitively aware of with regards to my marriage from the past. That was when I had the biggest struggles with my weight, is that I knew right then and there, I knew that even though I thought I needed to lose the weight to win him back, I knew that deep down somewhere I didn't really love him. He wasn't really the person. He changed a lot, and he wasn't really the person that he was displaying behaviors that I wasn't feeling safe with. I wasn't feeling happy with or comfortable with. And I feel like my weight in that moment was a way to put distance between us. And I did not even consider this for myself until my client spoke up and said that, when she realized that that's what she was doing for herself. It's to keep certain people physically away from us. Another thing to maybe consider is that the weight is protecting you from a different perspective, in that it can be a way that to ensure that you get love, that you receive love. So, for example, I've also coached people who've realized that if they lose the weight and they get healthy again, like with losing the weight, also will all the things, the medical complications, they'll disappear. But the fear was, so will the love and the attention. So having the diagnoses, having the diseases, having the excess weight on their body meant that people took care of them. People gave them a lot of love and support and care. And the big fear was that would all go away if they lost the weight, if they got well, if they were now able to look after themselves. Okay. So this is what I mean by sometimes our behavior is so much deeper. What we're doing is so much deeper than we actually realize, than we can cognitively realize. And we must, if we're really struggling to change our behavior and struggling to stick with what we know, we must ask those deeper questions. We must learn how to access a deeper level of wisdom. Because as I say, everything we do has a positive intention. It's all about safety and survival, making the decisions that we think are going to be best for our safety and our survival right now. That is when lower brain is taking over, when we're making those decisions right now. So if you know that you are making a decision that doesn't align with your goals, you know that it is the lower part of your brain that is operating to try and keep you safe. This is where we might turn to food to soothe our nervous system. If we're having an uncomfortable emotion and we're just stuffing our face with chips, oh my goodness, I'm making a decision based on safety and survival right now. So either the food is keeping me safe or the weight is keeping me safe. While you're eating the food, you're obviously getting things like dopamine and serotonin. So if you're experiencing a negative emotion, it helps you to feel safe in that moment. And I want you to ask yourself, are you turning to these foods because in some way you fear success, you fear some danger, something happening to you if you succeed? And in which case the weight is also keeping you safe, not just the food. So we want to stop beating ourselves up, shaming ourselves because we can't seem to do something. Because all you're doing then is turning the danger around from being external to you to being internal. And this is also where I see a lot of my clients going wrong. They've taken something that has been I would call it a maladaptive survival coping mechanism, coping habit. And now they are creating danger for themselves by beating themselves up because they've got this survival habit. The last thing we need to do is beat ourselves up, because now we just turn the danger within. So remind yourself that food and weight, it's not a weakness. It is a survival instinct. It's survival. Your brain and your body have figured out, okay, when I feel unsafe, here is how I keep myself safe. And it's food. Food becomes your shield. Weight becomes your armor. And that is what has worked for you at some point in your life. It has worked to help you feel safer when you felt in danger, when you felt negative emotion, when you felt scared, afraid, stressed, busy, whatever it might be. And it worked for you. So your brain goes, oh, big tick, let's keep doing that. It closes a habit loop. Neural connections in your brain, that's all it is. If you can learn it one way, you can unlearn it as well. But the very thing that once kept you safe, kept you connected, kept you alive, right? It's not working for you anymore. That's all. It's like you've locked yourself in a bunker during a storm, right? Locked yourself away in the house, or maybe while the zombie apocalypse is happening out there, all right? But now the zombies have all died off, or the storm has passed, but you can't get outside of the house. You can't unlock that door. It's keeping you trapped now. And what we don't want to do is trap you in there with your own negative thinking that is now becoming your own internal danger, because that is the one thing you can't escape. Or rather, that's what I'll help you escape, because you have full control over that. You don't have control over what happens externally to you, but you certainly have control over your thinking. Right. People think that they come to work with me to learn how to stay consistent and stay on plan and never make a mistake again. No, what we're really unwinding here are these patterns of self-sabotage, these understanding how the behavior that they've had has been adapted to keep them safe, keep them feeling, seeking pleasure and avoiding pain and conserving energy. And we're just retraining the brain and the nervous system a new way of getting what they want and what they need without the food. Yeah. And I also am teaching people how to speak to themselves differently so that they're not creating their own drama, their own fear, their own pain, right? Because that's what they have full control over that. If you get rid of that part of it, you're going to start to feel safer in the world, and immediately. So if you've ever thought to yourself, like, I'm broken, I'm weak, I can't do this, please, please, please stop causing that amount of danger for yourself. You're not broken. You have a brain and a body that are primed to keep you alive. And wherever they sense danger, all right, they're going to have a strategy to keep you safe. And for some of you, safety equals food. For some of you, safety equals weight, not being seen. Food that keeps me in a state of pleasure, and weight that keeps me safe and protected from all of the bad things that can happen out there. Right? We've just trained our brain and our body to seek safety in those things. But you can teach yourself, like if you've taught yourself that that's where safety is, and we've got to recognize that one, that is not real safety. But if you've taught yourself one way, you can teach yourself another. It's like you've taught yourself to speak English, you can teach yourself another language. It's okay. Like if you taught yourself to walk forwards, you can also teach yourself to walk backwards. You can teach yourself the moonwalk as well. All right. It's just about learning a new way. So I don't want to just leave you with, I'm going to check the comments first. Thanks for tuning in, team. Self-sabotage, yeah, okay. Janet, if you're still watching, is it making sense so far? So, yeah, as I said, I don't just want to leave you with the concepts and what's going on. I actually want to leave you with some practical tips that a practical way that you can start using right now to help start to just like break down those neural connections in your brain that seek safety in food and safety in weight, and start replacing that need for safety with something else, and start building different connections in your brain, right? So if you think about our habits, they are literally just wiring and firing in our brain that's automatic. It's strong. If you've been emotionally eating your whole life, like these connections, that's super highways. It's like you've been driving down that road for, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 years. It's a solid road, right? And now you're trying to create a new road by wandering off the dirt path. There's no road there yet. It's bush, right? And it doesn't feel familiar to go that way yet. It's clouded with bush and scrub, and every time you go down there, you get a little bit scratched, right? So you resist going the different direction. But if you persist, soon that bush is going to be cleared out. Soon there'll be, a road going through there, or a path going through there. And if you keep going through that way, soon you'll have a different superhighway going in a different direction. You'll have new neural connections that are way more familiar. And that old connection, that old superhighway is going to start getting potholes because it's not going to be used. I know that's kind of ironic because the more you use a road, the more potholes they get. But you know what I'm talking about. If you stop using the road, it's going to start cracking. It's not going to be, it's going to break up and it's going to start to erode. So that's all we're doing. We're just changing the connections in the brain, showing you a different way of being safe. So this is what I call my pause method. So write down the word pause. It's an acronym. And the P in pause is creating a pause. When you feel that urge to eat, when you feel like I just need to put food in my body, certainly if it's unhealthy food, and certainly if you're not actually physically hungry, just pause, just create a 90-second, like just a brief pause. Put a moment of time between uncomfortable feeling and reacting to it. You can set a timer if you want to, set 90 seconds. Urges and cravings and things like that, they usually have a bit of a peak for about 90 seconds and then they fade. A little bit like a storm coming through. Just think of it as, you are like an oak tree standing in a storm, and that storm is just like passing through. You don't have to react to that emotion. So we're going to pause. The A is allow. So you're going to allow that emotion to be there, or that uncomfortable feeling, that fear, that stress. You're going to just allow it to be there for a moment and just anchor yourself into your body. Stop trying to run away from the feeling. Stop trying to suppress the feeling, numb the feeling, get rid of the feeling. You're going to allow it to be there. You can place a hand on your chest, on your belly. If you're feeling like an emotional trigger in your body somewhere, sometimes it might be the throat area, wherever it might be, wherever you feel that uncomfortable feeling, just put your hand there, breathe into it, and be with it. Imagine that your inner 5-year-old is panicking, right? You wouldn't run away from a panicking 5-year-old, would you? You'd move towards it. You put your arms around it. Especially if it's like some poor little lost child in a shopping mall standing there going, Mom, right? You'd walk up to it and say, hey, it's okay. I've got you. Let's go find your mummy. Imagine you're doing that to yourself in a moment when you feel unsafe. Don't run away from your child. Don't just give it food either. Stay with it. Remind yourself that you're safe. Even this small act starts to rewire your nervous system, your brain chemistry, your nervous system, to help you start to find safety without food. And in this moment, you can show yourself evidence that you are safe. You can look around and go, okay, I've got a roof over my head. There's no one physically out to harm me right now, and my life is not actually right in danger. You start to show yourself that you are actually safe. Okay. The U, number 3, the U is understand the emotional need. You don't name it. Sorry, you don't shame it. You name it. We're not shaming the fact that we have an emotion. We are human beings. We're meant to have emotions. We're meant to have positive emotion and negative emotion. The negative emotion is just trying to tell us something. So right now we're going to try and understand what it's trying to say. I don't really need food right now. I'm not hungry. I just have an urge to eat it. Okay. What am I feeling? What is that emotion? Name it. I feel stressed. I feel overwhelmed. I feel scared. I feel worried. I feel panicked. Whatever it is. What is it? Deeper in my coaching, where I actually help my clients understand why they feel that from what was my brain perceiving perspective. So you can ask yourself that question as well. But I recommend you don't. I recommend not at this point. I recommend that you just work on calming that nervous system and changing the response to it. So you can then ask yourself, okay, if I'm feeling shame, what do I really need? I really need to feel better about myself. If I'm feeling disconnected, what do I need? I need to connect with someone. If I'm feeling scared, what do I need? I need to tell myself that I'm okay and everything's going to work out. All right, so you're starting to understand what the emotion is and what you really need. And then the S, of course, is serve the real need. So we're starting to swap that shield out. So rather than eating to try and suppress or comfort or get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, what you're doing is going, this is what I need to do instead. Okay, I'm feeling disconnected. I need to call a friend. I'm feeling alone. I'm feeling abandoned. Okay, where am I abandoning myself? Or who can I reach out to? I'm feeling stressed. What do I really need? I need to take a freaking break. I need to have a few minutes of just pause, like get my head sorted again. I need to go and have some fresh air and maybe just a 5-minute walk outside. You will start to get clarity about what you really need in that moment. If you stop and you just ask yourself the question, and then you can serve that need. What we don't want to do is just take away the food, because that's what most people try and do. I just need to take away the food and be perfect. Right? But if you're choosing the food, it's got a reason. If you can understand the reason why you're choosing that food, why you're choosing to eat when you're not hungry, why you're choosing to keep yourself overweight, you can understand what it is you really need in that moment and serve that need instead. And you're teaching yourself that there are other ways to soothe yourself. There are other ways to feel safe and comfort and protected and relieve your stress and your anxiety and your worry and your fear and your doubts. Right? There are better ways that actually help you get to the real need. That way, the need disappears. If you're just eating, you're just suppressing the fact that you're suppressing your own needs. And those needs will come up again, louder and louder and louder because you're not addressing them. So make sure you address them, serve that need. You have needs. It's okay to serve them. And then the E is encourage. You are going to encourage your new behavior. Why? If you reward yourself for doing something new, you are going to give your brain dopamine. And we want to get our dopamine from healthy sources, not just from food. All right. So dopamine is where your brain goes, that worked. Okay, let's do that again next time. And so this is you starting to say, that path in the bush, oh my God, I'm going to keep taking that because that leads me to a pot of gold. Whereas this one over here, the super way is taking me off a cliff. Your brain starts to go, there's good things to be had if I keep going this new direction. And so even though it's not familiar to you yet, even though it's not, the thing that you are most likely to go towards, because food has been, it's been the thing that you've turned to in those moments for so long, even though that's still so strong for you, you are going to be encouraged to go in that new direction because it actually is starting to feel good to do so. All right, it's going to help you build that new connection, that new path, that new superhighway. All right, so you want to make sure that you are rewarding that new behavior because it is going to encourage you to keep trying it out. Okay. Does that make sense, team? All right. I'd love to know what you're going to try differently now, because it's one thing to know, like it's one thing to hear these new tools that I'm giving you. These is one thing to keep learning, but it's another to put it into action. So if you would like, I've got just a quick cheat sheet with that pause method. If you would like that, just let me know. Either drop a comment in the video below or reach out to me on Messenger and I will give that to you. That's so you've got that exact framework there, because the whole idea is we've got to get you into action, right? Not just continually learning. Learning is great, right? We can let go of a whole lot of bullshit about ourselves if we learn, but we've also got to change the behavior, and that's what I'm here to help you do. All right, so these are just some small steps, like small pieces of the puzzle that I'm dropping you here. And yes, quickly, I want to also tell you about a new challenge, 5-day challenge that I'm pulling together because I am deciding to pivot my business, and I really want to be here to support emotional eaters in the plant-based world. People who struggle with binging, with emotional eating, with a sort of a dysfunctional relationship to food, and who are really struggling to achieve their weight loss goals. And emotional eating and that whole, binge restrict cycle is part of that. And so self-sabotagers, emotional eaters, they are my people. So I'm pulling together a new weight loss challenge for emotional eaters, which will probably come about in October when I get back from my trip to Bali. I'm going late September. So if you would like details of that challenge, please message me. As I say, I don't really have any details. I haven't got the date or anything yet. It's something that I'm pulling together. And I would love to know who is interested in that. We can put your name on a wait list, and I'll be back to you with more details around when that's going to be and exactly what we'll be covering each day. But right now, just seeking expressions of interest, like they say in the real estate industry. Let me know if it's of interest to you, and we can have a chat about that. All right. So in closing today, your weight, your food, it's not a weakness. There's not anything wrong with you. It is self-protection. It's just a maladapted way that you have been keeping yourself safe. And the moment that you start creating true safety from inside yourself, from how you honor your emotional needs, calm your nervous system naturally, and speak to yourself, like every single word that you say is either creating fear and danger or it's creating safety, right? Then you can be free to let the food and the weight go as your self-protection, right? You don't have to hide anymore. You're safe to be seen. It's safe to have an emotion, even a big negative emotion. All right. Thank you, team. If you've got any questions, please let me know. You needed a refresher. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Janet. Thanks for watching, everybody. It was amazing to have you here. And yeah, please let me know if you would like either that cheat sheet, pause method cheat sheet, or if you would like details on the October challenge. Okay. Ciao for now. Bye.